Sound group. Thought you guys might find this one interesting. So I'm doing a show here where I need to use 10 tracks and it's one camera move, so that's a scene. Yeah, for real. We're kind of splitting it up in a few cuts here, like 2 technically, and they're doing that by just swiping a wall. But long story short, this is what we're looking at. A lot of armed tracks there, and a lot of mixed. So it's in this whole house here, this very large house, going all around, and they're going from here to this room to that room, and obviously I can't do that all myself, so I've got 2 boom operators. Josh Lazarus is one of them, and a new guy who's not part of any of the groups, which I'll introduce you to soon here, because he needs work. He just wants to be a boom op. So, long story short, let's look what we got. So we're using PSC log periodics. I'm hiding this on purpose. 2 of them. It does not matter who makes it as long as it's tuned for 470 to 698. The frequencies we need, the frequencies that we operate in. That's all that matters. Then we have a preamp right here that's going down this cable here, all the way in there, and going into this system right here. So what is this system? What is this giant mess of spaghetti? Well, these are cable TV splitters, and the reason you can use cable TV splitters is because it's the same set of frequencies. So let's explore that in just a moment. Okay, so these are cable TV amplifiers to start off with. We have 2 of them, obviously because we're using a lot of diversity stuff here. So we want to make sure that we have that going that way. Now, why I'm using powered splitters is because these give you 4 dB extra per output. That's important because every time you split a connection, you lose 1 to 2 dB. So if I split that 10 times, I'm going to lose 20 dB. Obviously I wouldn't split it 10 times, but let's say 4 times, I'm going to lose 8 dB, which is drastic. So you don't want to lose that. This actually makes up for the loss that I would lose, obviously. But if I'm not using a preamp on those antennas, this will give me plus 4 dB, and it works really well. You can see the frequencies right there, 5 to 42, 54 to 10 to 1002. I chose these because our wireless systems are working in on-air transmission frequencies. So why shouldn't these work? And they do. They work quite lovely. I mean, the whole point is for them to amplify TV signals, and we're working in the TV frequency field. So that's exactly what they do. So what we're looking at here is, this is a typical, they call this a power injector. This is how you power these things. This makes it very simple for stupid people who don't know anything about this stuff, excuse me, uneducated people who don't know anything about this stuff, to just plug in a cable TV wire they have laying around, and that's what powers these things, called power injectors. Alright, so continuing, this is where the signal comes in. It goes into this power injector, and it comes out through this. This is standard coax cable. This is 75 ohm coax cable. Some of you are thinking, oh, blasphemy, you can't do that. We're going to get into that in just a moment, and I consulted many radio technicians before I chose it. Well, actually, I didn't choose it. I had 100 feet laying around. But the other side is LMR 240, which is 50 ohm coax cable. Not as flexible, but a much, much larger center conductor. So this is also another power injector. This power injector runs the preamp that's on the antennas. Now this is the exact same thing as those preamps you see on the big Electrosonics paddles that amplify the signal. Some that give you, what is it, like 3 dB up to 15 dB amplification. And you're looking at that correctly. That says Radio Shack. That's right. Some of you thinking, this is insane. How can you use Chicken Shack shit on this? But the bottom line is, this gives me minimum 15 dB, and it's quiet. So I'm getting around 21 dB boost, and I'm not overdriving my receivers. Wow. Looks like we're about to go to lunch. They shut them all down. This is from 20 feet away, which is really good. But it looks like they're all shut down. That's fine. I'm going to lunch. Now on the Zax, I'm only using the first antenna because I'm only using one. So I actually took it off to go on my 190 system, which I'm actually using, and it's working perfectly. It's sitting right on top there. But that's a Radio Shack power injector going to the Radio Shack booster preamp, and it's working fabulously. I used my RF Explorer, and I'm getting about negative 17 dB through a 100-foot cable at 15 feet away for transmitter to antenna, LP antenna, and that's pretty freaking good. So when they go across the house here, I'm getting great reception, and I'm not losing anything. So PSC, every time you use a new connector, you lose about 1 dB. So we're going from F-type to BNC. We're losing about 1 dB. We're going straight out F-type. I put F-type connectors on the other cable so I don't lose connection. So we're making up 1 dB there, going straight in. So we probably don't lose anything because of the power injector. So few as possible. These are right angle F connectors that I created, crimped right into right angle BNC. These were pretty cheap if you order from China. Takes about a week from this specific company, which is extremely fast. Otherwise you wait a month to 2 months. And to make your own cable, this is all RG174, very small runs, so it's okay. But anything over 10 feet, you're going to lose about 1 dB. At 100 feet, you lose 17.9 dB, a completely unusable signal. But it's okay for short runs. That's why they use it in bags. But this is RG6U, I believe, 75 ohm coax cable. It's performing just as well as the LMR 240, 50 ohm coax cable. And the LMR 240 is 2 times as expensive as the RG6U. Okay, why does it not matter? 75 ohms versus 50 ohms. When you are receiving, it's negligible. Especially when you have a preamp on your antenna. It's negligible. The line loss is what's important here. We're not losing much. We're losing 1 dB, 1 to 2 dB over 100 feet between LMR 240, that black cable, and RG6U, the white cable. It's negligible in our situation. If I was transmitting and using super low frequencies, it would become a very big problem. The standing wave ratio, SWR, would be raised because of the size of not the dielectric, the center conductor in this cable. It's literally 3/4 the size of that one, much larger. That's why you have less line loss when transmitting. It's negligible in this case. A lot of ham operators have said the exact same thing. I researched this for about 2 months before I made this decision. I still went with 240 because I wanted to compare the two, and I have a much beefier cable. So let's look at 6U versus 240. 6U, pretty easy to bend. That's under its own weight. You can see it really, it'll straighten out and flop around, right? You can see the braiding. This is a almost rubber PVC. I don't need to show it to you. You can go outside and look at it. Yeah, it's everywhere. But let's look at 240 times LMR 240. This stuff is slick. It's almost completely plastic. This barely bends under its own weight. The center conductor is massive. It's super shiny, very rugged, very durable, but it costs about 60 bucks for 60 feet. It's 59 cents a foot before tax. So you're looking at $50, something like that. So there's that. Another thing I want to show you guys. So I'm using Zaxcom transmitter Zaxcom recorder. Coming out of this, I have an antenna for my ZaxNet, right? So we're looking at that. RG174, yeah. They're using a Teradek inside. Oh, fell apart again. I was stupid and I ordered a threadless gender bender. Come on. So it just pops out all the time. Don't like that. Plugs back in. Okay. You use your Teradek inside, you're not going to mess with my stuff. First of all, we're using a grid parabolic dish. I had a beautiful adapter I made, had a turnbuckle on it, but turnbuckle fell off, so I just taped it. Speaker stands work really well. I made it 4 speaker stands. Whatever. Grid parabolic dish is going to give you a lot of directional movement. 2.4 gigahertz horn in the vertical position. This is 15 dB gain on this alone. Then the grid parabolic is going to give you probably 10 more dB once you get all the reflections in there. On top of the, I'm not going to deal with your stupid Teradek killing me amplifiers. Fire that back on. It's got a bad power connector. This is a 2-watt amplifier. And wow, there we go. 1-watt amplifier. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said 2-watt. It's a 1-watt amp. When I tested it, I was in Crescent City, California, and it was super humid outside, but I went half a mile away, and it wasn't really a problem. And it was very humid outside, and microwave and humidity don't work really well. I do believe this is LMR 400. Look how thick that cable is. Look how thin RG174 is. That's why you have such huge line loss with 174. LMR 400, absolutely, I'd run that everywhere if I had it, but it is $170 a foot. So, no, thank you. Yeah, so that's what I'm running. I got 2 boom ops because we're doing this one-take Steadicam stuff, and it's working very well. Guys are doing a great job. I'd like to thank Electrosonics for their, as always, wonderful transmitters. I know I was bashing you guys a while ago, kind of pissed off, but it wasn't your fault, and I knew that, and I was just so pissed off because there's a lot of stuff going on in the area. And the new Zaxcom TRLA 30 ZHD QRX200 in there. I'm only running the XR modulation because I don't have the update just yet, but we'll get that going here soon. It sounds great. I'm loving it. Great transmitter. It's actually right here in case it goes. I've never seen it before. Can't really see. It's a backlit OLED screen. Yeah, I can't see it. Oh well. Now I'm just rambling. Battery backup. All the wonderful normal stuff you're used to seeing. And if some of you are wondering how I'm powering this, I'll be more than happy to show you. I do a lot of DIY stuff, so this is a very simple power supply. Just made some power adapters. There you go. Giving me plenty of power, plenty of current, plenty of voltage. And my little BDS I made myself. Yep. There's the back of the units. I realized I had screwed up and I needed to make a snake. Good thing I had tons of XLR laying around. And I bought this 8-conductor Kinnair, and that worked perfectly for my snake. It was laying around as well. And if you have Android phones, get yourself one of these suckers. Well, if you have a Note 3. Switch out your battery, put your battery in, charge it, and you don't have to charge your phone anymore. You just switch out the battery all the time. It's not a pain in the ass, trust me. I have 7 batteries, and when I go out in the middle of nowhere, and everyone's like, oh, my battery's dead, I don't have to worry about it. Alright, now I'm completely rambling and just talking, but here's what it looks like from the back. It's a bit spaghetti. I'm going to see if I can pop those open and rehouse them. Kind of make my own little PSC multi-looking things. But it works really well. I'm very, very happy with it. The whole system is just killer. I got the guys walking around 0 RF hits, and they're going 100 plus feet away through a house, on the other side of the house. Using block 25 and 26 out here in West Hills. And my RF scan on the RF Explorer doesn't say it's very clean. So there's some RF out here to contend with. But Persona Studio Live 1642. I like the board, but gotta say the preamps are kind of leaving something to be desired. So I will leave you with this beautiful view of everything. Alright. Bye-bye.